What a mistake. What was I thinking? Hey, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. I have yet again made another huge mistake, and it nearly got me caught out and in a lot of trouble. So what is that mistake, you're asking? I went riding without having the tools necessary to fix a puncture on my tubed Tenere 700. I normally consider myself to be very well prepared. Anytime I'm doing any multi-day travel, any BDRs, I carry everything necessary to fix the basic things like punctures and be able to work on the bike. But since I've had this bike, I haven't done any trips. I've been doing just trips around the neighborhood, 20, 30 miles here and there. I did do one 300-mile trip, and that was always in the back of my mind. But I kept thinking, you know, if I ride roads and I'm not doing off-road, I'm not doing anything hard off-road, I don't have to worry about pinch flats, I don't have to worry about, necessarily picking up something. But I was wrong, and it nearly cost me. So what I want to do is go through what happened, and I'll lay out all of the details. And you can decide whether or not you would have done the same thing I did and in my effort to get back. Now, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Is I was riding on a Wednesday, and I left the house at 11:30 and developed the puncture around 12:15. I had someplace I had to be at 2:30. I have some responsibilities that I have to take care of. Where I had the puncture, there was no cell service immediately. There were people driving back and forth, but it wasn't something that would have been easy to fix, since I didn't have tools, and I wasn't expecting anyone would have the tools that I need to be able to take that wheel off. I was carrying a tube, but that is clearly not enough. So I'm gonna roll through that, and hopefully with the weather cooperates, I will be able to show you all the things that I did in detail, and then what I've had to do since then. So stick around if you're interested to see how I did my own self-recovery, what those consequences were, and if you would have made the same choice. I headed out on this ride, one I have done many times, riding up to the Sandia Crest at 10,000 feet. Riding up was uneventful, and I didn't bother filming. I didn't even bring a camera that day. Getting to the top was fine, just cold. Coming down really seemed like it was going to be uneventful, just carving corners and chasing a Tesla. Then I hit a pothole hidden in the shadows. It knocked me around a bit, but I didn't think much of it until my front wheel developed some wobble. I pulled over my first chance and took a look. Yep, it was a flat. All I had with me was a compressor. I aired it up to see how far I could go and how long the tire would stay inflated. This is when it started becoming real. The problems I was gonna have. I knew I had no toolkit. Hadn't put one in yet, so I knew there was no way for me to pull the front wheel. There was some workers here, some forest workers working on stuff, but I didn't have a way to lift the front end either. And yeah, now I'm starting to think about what I'm gonna do next. I went through my other bag here, which is where I keep my puncture repair kit stuff. I had a tube. I had some tire levers, but I still had no way to take off that front tire. So in my mind, I'm thinking I have less than 2 hours to get home, about 10 miles to go, and what am I gonna do? So that's when I made the decision of airing up the front tire and seeing how far I could get and take it from there. Because I knew if I called a tow truck, it's gonna take hours. I'm up in the mountains coming from Albuquerque, and I have towing on my insurance, but I didn't have time to wait for a tow truck, and I was concerned the tow truck wouldn't take me home. It would try to take me to a shop, and that was not going to help me because then I wouldn't have a ride from the shop to get home. As I mentioned earlier, there's one person I could have called. He's at work, and I know during the day I can't get a hold of him. So that's why I made the decision to air up the tire and see how far I could go. At this point in time, I knew my tire was deflating very fast. I decided to ride on the shoulder at a slower speed because I knew if I was going faster, there was a chance I could rip the tire off the wheel. And if that happened, game over. There's no way I could ride home. I expected to be able to get a little bit further than this. That did not happen. So at this point, I got off, I re-aired the tire up to just see how much further I could go. Very, very challenging time. And my time was shrinking on how soon I needed to get home. I have an hour before I need to be home before I leave to take care of some of my responsibilities. So, carried on. All right, after I got home, I realized that I had made a significant mistake that I am not going to repeat. So I hit cycle gear, and went and got a 27 millimeter spoon and wrench for the rear. And then this particular front hub requires one of these type of tools that slides in the hub in order to be able to back out the axle. It's a 19. I have this other tool lever, and it fits over, so I can use this as a wrench to get it off. I didn't even have sockets to pull the pinch bolts loose. And I didn't even have a valve stem remover. So what a stupid mistake that I had made. Thankfully, it worked out okay. I got back. And as you can see, as I was showing you what I did, I've already changed the front tire. I can't trust the front tire that was on this bike because of how long I ran it in flat, nearly flat. I don't know what's happened to the sidewalls, if there's going to be any of the cording that's going to stick through, or if it's just broken and it's going to pinch a tube. It's put me at risk. So this tire, this Pirelli Scorpion STR, is out. And man, stupid. If I had just carried the stuff I needed, this never would have happened. I could have just changed the tire right there. Thankfully, I had the little electric compressor. If I had not had that, I don't know what I would have done. I would have had to try to get someplace with cell service and call a tow truck, and it would have taken, from where I was, hours for a tow truck to show up by the time it arrived. And then my responsibilities, the place I needed to be, I never would have made. So I was weighing those factors out with whether or not it'd be worth waiting for a tow truck, or just go ahead and doing what I did. Rode on the shoulder, aired it up every mile and a half, and made my way back. I only had about 10 miles to go. It took me an hour and a half, but I was able to meet those responsibilities. And the cost of a tow truck going somewhere else, it would have just, I think, made things a little bit more complicated. You may or may not agree with me in the decision that I made. That is completely reasonable. Let me know in the comments below what you would have done in this situation. I did what I had to in order to get done what I needed to do. Just a brief interruption before we get to the end. I'm sure some of you are wanting to know what happened to the tube and what my flat actually came from. It's a sidewall. Looks like a pinch flat to me, the best I can tell. I had about somewhere between 26, 27 PSI in my front tire. And I think when I hit the pothole from just the side, the way it wiggled or pinched or something, I was running too low of pressure. I was trying to run between 27 and 28, trying to figure out what that balance was. Clearly that's not going to be a good pressure. I'm not going to use that anymore. And then as far as this tire, the Pirelli Scorpion STR. It looks like the inner sidewall is just fine. I have bent it out and it felt all the way around the inside edge where it would have been smashed down. And I can't find any issues with it right now. I need to do a little bit more work, but I think I will keep this as a backup tire in the event something happens to my current tire and I'm in a point of desperation, or I don't have time to order a tire, get a tire in. I will probably try this again and try some local rides first before I really do anything long, just to make sure I don't get a puncture from damage in the sidewall inside the carcass. So those are just a quick update on what I actually found when I got home and got a chance to take the tire off and take the tube off. It's dumb. I usually run more air pressure. I think if I had been running 30 to 32, which is more closer to what I normally run, this wouldn't have happened. Unless it was a problem with the tube, which who knows, happened and no way of going back. So there it is. I hope you found this entertaining. I also hope that this is a reminder to carry what you need to fix a puncture, and any of these small things like this that are common occurrences, especially if you have tube tires. If you have tubeless, just carry some plugs. It's a very easy thing to do, and these little electric compressors are really impressive. You can't go wrong with those. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Get out, do some riding, ride safe, and I will see you out there. I thought it might be the valve stem, but I spit on the core, and the core wasn't leaking.